Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of The Untold. Of course, it is a show where we have brilliant host, a brilliant guest. With that being said, let me introduce myself. I'm Abdullah Hindiani.
And I'm Najeen Al-Athari. And today we're going to discuss a topic because right now there's a lot of instability in the region, and it's not only adults who get anxious and scared, but children too. And they even approach it differently, which is why we're going to be talking to Sara Ramli, who's a motherhood and life coach.
Yeah, I think children are now facing very extraordinary, circumstances because it's something that we as adults haven't seen in our lifetimes. But now they are so young to it and they're seeing it at such a young age, they don't comprehend it, they don't understand it very well. So that's why we have dedicated this episode to talk about, especially to parents, how to address their children, how to address their fears, their anxieties, how to deal with it, and everything around it.
And I think it is very important that we do address the situation, especially for children, because as you said, they don't fully understand what's going on, especially really young children. They're just feeling the fear and they don't have the capacity to fully understand where it's coming from. They just see everyone around them is scared and they're hearing things and they're scared. So it's really important for parents to know how to approach their children and help them feel comfortable and safe.
It is. That's why we've dedicated this episode for them. With that being said, let's take a break. We'll come right back with Sada. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on The Untold. But most importantly, thank you, Sarah Ramli, for being our guest today on The Untold.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you. Sara, I know that you work with children and you help them regulate their nervous systems, amongst other things. And with everything that's happening in the region right now, it's quite a scary time for both adults and children alike. So I wanted to ask you, how do children normally feel around these type of situations? Like, how bad is their fear and anxiety?
Okay, so in the beginning, there is no such thing as a bad feeling or a good feelings.
Love that.
Feelings are feelings, and feelings come with the human package. So what should a child feel or shouldn't feel? It's not up to us to decide. It's just up to the child and what comes up to him or her. And as adults or parents or guardians, our main job is to provide a safe and secure space for the child to express whatever they're feeling.
And also, fear is a natural, our survival, instinct. It's our natural behavior.
Yeah,
So you don't really want to tell children to not feel fear because it depends on their survivability. But
definitely.
also, sometimes fear gets overwhelming, that becomes concerning. So how do you differentiate between the two? How do you say, okay, now my children's fear is something concerning, I need to address it?
Yeah, first of all, a parent or a guardian need to feel secure with their fear, meaning they need to not have any judgment on themselves for being afraid and to give themselves the space at the beginning to express, to state, to acknowledge, to validate themselves. Once a parent is fully comfortable with fear, now they can handle or at least have their own perspective as how the child is having their own experience. So let's say if me as a parent, I'm already overwhelmed and I see my child is overwhelmed, I might deny or I might ask them to stop or I might define this as, let's say, above the normal line of fear. But if I am very comfortable with my fear and I understand myself and I know how to contain myself, then now I can address the child. So you asked, how can I know if this is, let's say, crossed the border of normality? It depends on what kind of behavior the children is behaving. Is it something affecting their sleep, affecting their eating habits, affecting their play? Now this is a step, let's say, we can take it to someone who can actually provide the proper health care for the child.
So you said that it depends on the kind of signs that the child might be showing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are those signs usually?
As I told you, it all goes above normality. If something is affecting the normal function of a human being, sleep, eat, and play for the child. So whether you can say it shows any health conditions like acne or skin irritations, something that is usually, let's say, the child is not experiencing, or they can like have bedwetting, which was not there or wasn't happening as a problem before the circumstances that we're facing. So with something with the food, like if they're not eating or eating too much, or let's say anything that is related to the normal needs of a human being that is now crossing the abnormality line.
What about their behaviors, though? What are things that parents could see in a child? They know they are being afraid, even if the child, doesn't know how to say, mom, dad, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
What are certain changes in behavior they can look for?
Okay, so this can go to different. It goes like per personality. The main survival instincts for human beings in general, not only children, but you can see it very clearly in children because they're closer to their nature, is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So fight is when they have something aggressive, like as a behavior. Flight is when they are like running away from the situation. We can see this, let's say, it's not like an actual running, like physically, but maybe with gaming, maybe with social media, maybe with constant movie watching. It's like me running away from the situation. That's the flight. The freeze, where they have no response at all. It's like they're just in freeze. They're not expressing, they're not engaging, they're not playing, they're just like frozen. And fawn, this usually, let's say, I'm not going to include it with what's happening right now because fawn is like people appeasing. So it goes like into more psychological ways or issues. But for our main, like what we're facing now in the region, is these three ones. They all come from survival instincts. Whenever the person or child is feeling like their life is threatened, they would go with these behavior: fight, flight, or freeze.
Honestly, that's so fascinating. And the way that you said children are more in tune with their nature, it makes so much sense because they're still more wild in that way. They're still very much in touch with themselves. But you did say that a lot of it is based on personality or following how the parent is feeling. But does it change for the child based on how old they are, how they may react to these situations?
Yeah, definitely. The younger they are, the more connected to the parents they are. And the younger they are, the more they reflect the emotional state of the parent. Usually that is how they function because they're like they mirror us. They mirror the parent. But the more older the child gets, it's like more up to their own personality that they gathered along the years. So it does differ based on personality, but keep in mind, the younger, the more it reflects the parents' states. Yeah.
And also speaking about, them being younger and how it reflects on their parents. Let's say your child comes to you and they say, I'm afraid or something like that. How do you explain them what is happening, what their feeling is without, making it too complicated, without making it feel too overwhelming? Like, simplify it so the children can understand it better.
Yeah. See, this goes with all emotions. The way we deal with emotions, like I always tell parents, don't be scared of emotions. Emotions are our friends. Feelings are our friends. It's not something like us on one side and feeling on the other side where we have to collide with them. Feelings is always our friend. So the first step is always let the parent be in a more suitable, more calm state whenever they want to reply. So let's say my child came and I'm dysregulated. I can just ask that, give me 5, 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I'll get back to you. I get myself regulated. I breathe. I fully embody what I'm gonna say. Then I will go and address. So how do you address it? First, you validate. You don't dismiss the feeling. You don't say you're exaggerating. Oh, come on, nothing is going on. Or don't make it a big deal. It is a big deal to the child. And feelings are always respected and always welcomed. Once we validate, it's like, the pressure cooker where you release the pressure.
Yeah.
It's like they will settle a bit. They will settle a bit. Oh, okay. They sense like, okay, my mom, my dad gets me. Okay, now I'm contained. Now I'm safe. And then we move on.
Yeah.
So fear is like the opening door. So what comes next? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of? State it. Let's talk about it. What scenarios are going in your head? Whatever, when it's in the mind, it's a chaos. When it is stated, it's organized and it is seen by the parent, and then they can Let's say take them from like, I'm afraid of this will happen. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's see how our country is responding. See all the safety precautions that we have. That's why we have this and the sirens and the instructions. See, and we just, have a talk. Have a talk. Nothing should be expected from the child. Like, okay, we did the talk, fear is gone. That's not realistic. Neither it's normal or healthy. Fear is our friend, and it is normal for the child to feel scared in these situations.
I love how you emphasize validating the response and emotions of the child, because even for adults, we need that validation ourselves. Without, as you said, being able to address the emotions, they just kind of fester, they become chaotic, they grow worse. So being able to just say, this is this emotion, it's okay to feel it, it's okay, and here's reasons and everything. I think that really helps, especially children, to trust their parents and the situation more.
Definitely.
But especially in situations like this, I do have to ask though, is it better to hide the news from the child, or is it better to share it with them, or at least a part of it? Like, I know, for instance, my father has very young children. And in the beginning of all this, I asked him, like, how are the kids dealing? He's like, oh, they don't know anything. They're having the time of their life. I don't know if this is the right or wrong response, but they seem fine. Whereas one of my other cousins who's very young, when he hears the sirens, we just tell everybody, it's just a small earthquake. And no one knows where he got this idea from. No one ever mentioned earthquakes to him, but he seems very relaxed. Like, it's just a small earthquake, guys. It's fine. It will pass. And he's telling that to the adults. So it's just really interesting seeing how kids react to these kind of situations. But from a parental perspective, is it better to inform the child or keep them uninformed?
Okay. So again, this depends on the age of the children. Some children already are using social media. Some children, even if they're not using social media, they have friends.
True.
And friends are talking, and friends are sending, and friends are, exchanging. So the younger they are, let's say, quote unquote, hiding the news is easier. But let's say, okay, so you cannot actually hide what's going on. This is the real answer. If I'm gonna be really honest, you cannot hide it, because children read what you're feeling without stating it. I always give this analogy. If you have a vase of flower and you have dead flowers in the vase, you know it's dead flowers. You can say, even if you have a plastic flower there, you know it's a plastic flower. So the same with children. Children are amazing at reading energy, reading sensations, because again, they're closer to their nature. So if the parents is not feeling a thing, they will not feel a thing. Let's say the parents are actually feeling and sensing and reading the news and hearing about it and living the situation, children will read those things with no explanation, and that is scary to a child.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm sensing stuff, but nobody is actually talking to me. Nobody is giving me a name or a label to what's happening, to what I am getting. So this is scary for the child. That's why when I said, like, validate and let the feeling be seen, give it a name, it's much calmer for the children. So what to give, how to expose, honesty is a big pillar of safety in relationships in general. So with my children as well, honesty is cherished. At the same time, I don't need to like exaggerate, or this is for everybody. Everybody's telling us, don't share rumors, don't state things that are not from their official, news of the country. So children are hearing, depends on the age of the child, and depending on their mental state as well. Like a child who's playing and having fun, I don't need, like, come sit, let me tell you what's going on. Let them play. Let them enjoy their life. And you know what, many, I'm sure you see this a lot, they know what's happening and they're playing and they're having a good time, and they hear the siren, they get scared a bit, and then they move on, and then they're just being, they're acting as children.
Yeah, I mean, my younger cousins are calling it like real life Call of Duty. That's how, the younger generation are going to be fine.
Yeah.
And also, I'm glad that you brought the topic that children can know feelings based on what you show. Because I remember watching an article or video, I think, about it, where they brought two young children, as young as toddlers. And they told one parent to not show any emotion, while the other parent to show emotions. And then the children who were with the parent who did not show a lot of emotion felt the same thing. The child was confused. They felt like the parent was ignoring them or not giving the right signals. So the children can, live off of what we take. With that being said, we are going to take a break. So audiences, join us after this one.
And we're back from that short break. So Sada, we were talking about how children really sense emotions, especially of the parents, and what a parent can do to make their child feel calmer, and especially in situations where danger is present or fear is present. And as you said, a lot of it goes back to how the parent is acting or feeling. The child can sense it whether the parent is aware of it or not. So how can a parent make sure that they are themselves staying calm and doing well so that they can then transfer those safety emotions to their children?
Yeah, it starts with a really simple but deep question. For a parent to ask themselves, what am I feeling now? You can start by, we usually start our morning routine like you don't see something related to emotions with our routines, with checking up on ourselves. So it just starts with this simple question, what am I feeling now? Once you state it, once you say it as it is, as raw as it is, give it a name, validate it, breathe, pray, wash up, you are already now calmed. So from here, that's the beginning point of how the parent is dealing with their own emotions. Once they are regulated, now they can deal with their children.
And also, speaking of dealing with the children, considering the circumstances, your child may come to you and they're going to be asking, are we in danger? Are we having some dangerous kind of situations? How should a parent address, these kind of answers? Like, how can they answer these kind of questions?
Okay, so they can say it as it is without any, let's say, by being smart about it. So let's say, for me, example, when the sirens goes in the middle of the night, let's say, and one of the children wakes up and they come being scared or feeling afraid, I usually hug them, keep them closer to me, and we just like pray, do a dua. I remind them of what this means, what this actually means, and that it will pass. I just stay with them during the feeling, whenever they feel regulated. Me being there, being calmly there, is assuring to them. That's actually all they need. Because again, it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it. It's not the actual words, it's how are you feeling when you're saying those words. So assuring them, staying with them, hugging them, keeping them close, and not ignoring, not neglecting, not diminishing any of their feelings, that is exactly what they need.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because even when in normal situations, when children have nightmares, the first thing they do is they go to their parents.
Yeah.
They're like, Mama, I had a nightmare, I can't sleep. Can I stay with you? Or can you or can you sit with me until I fall asleep again? Just having the parent there is just a sign of like, I'm safe because my parent is here with me.
Yeah.
So I think that's really wonderful advice and a thing that you do.
Yes.
And in general, I wanted to ask you, like, how can a parent help make the home environment feel safe and calm for the child?
Yeah, again, it depends on the emotional state of the parents. And let's say if there is any nannies in the house, they are a big part of the family and they are adults. So any adult in the family in the house is affecting the child. So keeping sure that the adults are feeling well regulated, and at the same time we help that the routine goes as smoothly. I'm not going to say as before, because it's not as before, the
Yeah.
circumstances, it's different. But let's say to develop some kind of a healthy, normal, light routine. Now like schools are online. So let's say from this time to this time, we're going to have the online. Okay, do you want to prep your lunchbox before? Do you want to have this in your room? What are you going to do? Okay, do you want to play at this time? Do you want to rest? So keep it light and not, let's say, crowded, and no pressure to the, like, release and reduce pressure as much as you can.
So do you feel like, children can benefit from having a routine, for having, the same kind of things to do on a daily basis, or they can benefit more of having to do whatever they want in their day just so they can be busy? Like, what is the...
Yeah, the word is not balance, is harmony.
Mm.
Because sometimes you need the routine to be. Yeah, for me, it's not like either or. Nothing is either or. It's life, and life is, it goes with harmony, it goes with ups and downs. Sometimes, like, let's say when the time is for school, okay, so we need a rigid routine now. Now you're gonna sit, now you're gonna do this, this is what's gonna happen, at this time it's gonna end. Okay, now I'm gonna allow some free time. We would rest, you can play, you can do this. Okay, how about now let's say when we were in Ramadan, let's prep for futur. Now it's futur time, now it's Taraweeh time now. So it goes with harmony between both, between routine and free play and relaxed time, let's say.
Well, that makes sense, because I think being able to do the same thing shows the child that even though things might be chaotic, life is still going on.
Life is still going on, and children relax when they know what's coming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody in
Yeah.
the unknown, it's scary in the unknown. So like giving them like, okay, so 1, 2, 3 steps ahead. But let's say if a child doesn't feel like doing this, I need to have the, like a bit of flexibility. Like, okay, we have that option instead. We need to do this, to do that. Like a lot of children were expecting, oh, Eid means we're gonna do this. Oh, mama, this Eid we're not doing this, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna try different stuff and stuff like this.
Yeah.
No, that does make a lot of sense. I see where you're coming from. Even for adults, if we don't follow a sense of routine, everything becomes chaos. Even under normal circumstances, they always say routine helps. Being able to, go to work, go do your exercise, see your friends, do all the stuff that makes you feel normal helps feeling normal.
A lot,
And I think that for kids especially, like being able to have that routine, it's even stronger for them, because already not going to school is a big change for them,
Yeah.
doing the online learning and all that. So should parents also try to encourage their kids to have fun and like do games and other stuff like that, or see their friends, or are they too worried to make them go see their friends? Like, how could they help the child with that kind of stuff?
You see, going out and what are doing, I have a very famous quote, is like, whenever a parent is working with me as a client, I tell her, I'm never gonna tell you what to do or how to raise your kids. I'm helping you understand yourself and know how to deal with yourself, and therefore you're very comfortable doing what feels right to you with your kids. So sending them out to friends or here, it depends. Actually, it really depends on each family and what are they following in their circumstances. But the part of should they let their kids have fun, kids are gonna have fun whether you let them or no. They will find ways. It's just that, again, as much as I can be calm, they will naturally do what children are naturally meant to do.
Yeah.
So they will have fun. They do have activities. Every home is filled with activities. For example, if a child was used to going to do their sports, some clubs are closed and some I know are open, but let's say they made the choice not to send, or the club is closed, let's do it in the house, like watch it on have a video, and let's practice something together. Let's do arts and craft, whatever kids have, they can be really good at having fun.
They can. And also, I think kids are very lucky when it comes to biology in that, because I read that the fear, center in our brains, I forgot the name of it, is connected to our experiences.
Yeah.
So the more you grow up, the more, life takes you, the more you get fear-related experiences, like, for example, death, accidents, so on and so forth. But for children, they didn't have the lifespan to experience those. So the fear receptors in their brains does not really, comprehend fear in itself. That's why you see children going, on balconies, falling over, la samahallah, because they don't necessarily, connect the
Or
fear.
understand,
Yeah. So, they are lucky in that they really don't have fear now as much as we do. But in the certain kind of situations, parents have to tell them, no, this is the situation, this is what we are going to deal with.
Yeah.
And speaking about the role of parents, when it comes to social media regulation, especially with the influx of news and to watch their kids, how can they balance that, fine line, like between news outlets, social media sources, whatever is going on, how can they moderate that for their children?
Yeah, it always comes to the parent. Like when a parent comes to me and complain, like, oh, they watch too much YouTube, or they watch too much whatever, and they're exposed, and like they blame social media, I go back and I say, who gave them the device? Who gave them who's providing the Wi-Fi? Who's providing the Wi-Fi? Like my kids know, like sometimes they like, Mama, who closed the Wi-Fi? It's me. It's me. I'm in charge. So the parent is always in charge to what kind of stuff they get exposed to. This is number one. So it's totally the parent responsibility. Now, What I can like specify special accounts, like, okay, you can follow, like if it's a grown child, let's say 10 or above, or they're hearing from friends, okay, mama, so this is the trusted accounts that we can follow, that you can see. The younger ones I can keep away. So it goes back to the age, and to actually, if the parent wants them to be exposed of, or no, if they don't want, they can just remove it.
No, that's 100% true. I remember when I was a child, my parents had those parental locks on TV,
Yeah.
so that we could only access the children's channels, and we couldn't watch any of the other channels in case we run into content that's not for kids.
Yeah.
And it's the same nowadays with internet exposure and social media. My father has very young kids, as I said, but he only allows them a 2-hour limit on their tablets every day and on the internet. And they can only use the children's YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even though they ask, like, Baba, I want to do this. My friend does this. He's like, no, you're too young. You need to stay on these areas, because especially nowadays, before maybe it might have been easier to regulate, but now it's so easy to have access to so many different things on the internet. And so a parent, as you said, they have to try their best to keep that exposure at a respectable level for a child.
Yeah, and keep an open conversation about it. Like it's always keep an open and safe space for children to come and state what they heard, what they saw, what they want to know more about, and welcome that. Welcome that. Let them hear it from you, instead of they just get scared and like, oh, I cannot tell mom, I cannot tell dad, and I rather just take it from that perspective, which might not be in our favor, you know?
Yeah. And also, on the topic of fear in children, a lot of parents, a lot of people, a lot of adults in general are basically just children in adult outfits.
Yes.
So sometimes they themselves don't know how to deal with the emotions that their child is having. So when is the right time for them to go and seek a specialist, to seek help, to seek that external, assistance?
Okay. The right answer is always yesterday. Because this is like human psychology. Who should study human psychology? Is it only the person who's interested in human psychology? If you're a human, you should know human psychology. You're a human. This is how your body works, your brain works, your mind works, because brain is not the mind. Know yourself. Know what emotions do to you. Why are they there? Why are you facing this? And this is an amazing opportunity for ones to go and dive into themselves and see what kind of emotions are happening there. They're not just a byproduct of the day. Oh, okay, I felt this, now I felt that, now I felt this. No. Sit with yourself, get to know yourselves. As you said, seek a professional. They're there to help. They're there to provide, and it's a blessing to have such. But when? Since yesterday. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, especially the fact that we should all be seeking help and knowing human psychology.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, do you have any simple tips for parents to help their kids during this time?
Okay. Yes. Provide safety. Provide security. That's the baseline for any connection, and this will grow with them. I like what you said when you said like how fear is connected to experiences. That is 100% true. So this is now getting printed in their brains, in their human psychology, in their experience, let's say door of how does this feel, what do we do in crisis, how do we act, what kind of emotions were up, what kind of things were allowed and not allowed. So this is, you're printing a total new experience in your child brain that they will carry for years before. So provide safety, provide security.
I think that was wonderful advice. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to take a very quick break. And we're back from that really amazing and interesting episode. I love this discussion with Sarah. I feel like she had a lot of insight in how the child mind works and reacts to things. And I feel like both parents, adults, and children alike could learn a lot from what she said.
Yeah, honestly, I think, the bullet points of this episode was to address key issues of fear and anxiety within children, but I think adults can also benefit from it because fear is such a general and broad emotion that even adults can have. So I'm really glad that Sarah, dedicated this episode to talk us through how to deal with fear and how to address it, how to talk everything surrounding it.
I agree. And I loved how she said the emotions are not good or bad. They just exist and we just have to validate them and address them. And for her to even say that for children, the most important thing is to bring a sense of trust as well as safety. And with that, you can get through everything. And I think we all learned a lot.
We've all learned a lot. With that being said, I hope the audiences have learned as well. That's it from us, the team of The Untold. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, and see you next time.